comes a time in a man's existence as he reviews his life and considers how to give it greater meaning, when he must come to terms in a new way with destruction and creation as fundamental aspects of life. A time when his growing recognition of his own mortality makes him more aware of destruction as a universal process. A time when knowing that his own death is not far off makes him eager to affirm life for himself and for generations to come. Ask yourself, friend, have you ever felt the creative impulse to make something, to build something, to bring something into being? Maybe a song, maybe a table, a service, or a legacy made in the spirit of creation that eventually takes on an independent existence. Something that in your mind as the creator has a being of its own. Something that will enrich the lives of those who are engaged with it. Such an impulse will intensify within you as you grow older and as you understand more the polarity between destruction and creation, and by your mid-20s, early 30s, the acute sense of your own destruction will build up your wish for creation. Your constantly growing desire to be creative is accompanied by a great awareness of the destructive forces in nature, in human life in general, and in yourself. If you are ready to look around you, friend, death and destruction are everywhere. In nature, each species eats certain others and is eaten by others still. The geological evolution of the earth involves processes of destruction and transformation. To construct anything, something else must be destructed and restructured, and you as a man cannot get through life without some experience of human destructiveness. Other people, including those close to you, have in some ways damaged your self-worth, hindered your development, or kept you from seeking and finding what you wanted most. Likewise, you yourself have at times caused great hurt to others, including your loved ones. To be able to create anything of value, it is important to understand better the connection between the forces of destruction and creation in your life. Dare to examine your life, friend, and make an effort to come to a new understanding of your resentments against others for the real or imagined damage they have done to you. Keep in mind that embarking on such a process may paralyze you for a time through the helpless rage that you will feel for your parents, wife, mentors, friends, and loved ones who have hurt you badly. What is even more challenging is that you must also come to terms with your own guilt, your anger against yourself for the destructive effects you have had on others and also on yourself. Find the courage to ask yourself, friend, how have I failed my responsibilities for the ones I love and for activities that have affected many other persons? How have I failed myself and destroyed my own possibilities? How can I live with the guilt of my actions? The reason for such a challenging task is to understand more deeply the place of destructiveness in your own life and in human interactions in general. Do your best to rework your painful feelings and experiences. Do it by articulating your awareness in words or music or paintings, or live it out in some form. You have to come to terms with your experiences, because if you are burdened excessively by your resentments and guilts, you will be unable to triumph over them. But also, if you are forcing yourself to maintain the illusion of paradise in which destructiveness does not exist, you will hinder your own capacity for creating loving and affirming life. Keep in mind, friend, that it is important for you as a man to recognize and take responsibility for your own destructive capabilities. Even out of good intentions, you will at times act in ways that have damaging consequences for others. In your love relationship, because of some hardship that you encounter in life, your feelings cool unexpectedly and you withdraw from the relationship, making the other person feel abandoned and betrayed. As a leader, you may need to demote someone who is worthy but incompetent, damaging his self-worth and future prospects. As a father, you may discipline your children for the best of reasons and to the worst effects. Remember that no act can be totally good in its consequences. As a man, to have power to do great good, you must bear the burden of knowing that you will cause some harm, and in the end, perhaps more harm than good. It is hard enough to acknowledge that you can be unconsciously destructive. It is most painful at all to accept that at times you have destructive wishes towards others, even loved ones. There will be times in your life when you will feel hatred and distaste, when you will find your loved ones intolerably cruel, disapproving and controlling. Accept, friend, that these moments happen, and out of your intense bitterness, you will be capable to do hurtful things to loved ones and take responsibility for your own destructiveness, instead of putting the blame for your reactions onto others. Remember that even the most mature and knowledgeable man has a great deal to learn about the workings of destructiveness in himself and in society. He has to learn about the heritage of anger against others and against himself. He has to learn about the angers he has accumulated over the course of his childhood and adulthood, and he has to place these internal destructive forces within the wider context of his adult life, setting them against the creative, life-affirming forces and finding new ways to integrate them into his life. Such an understanding will not happen to you simply by reading a few books, watching a few videos, or even having some psychotherapy, though all of these may contribute to your developmental process. The main learning goes on within the fabric of your life, friend, when you will learn by going through intense periods of suffering, confusion, rage against others and yourself, and even grief over lost chances that you have allowed to pass you by. Even if such a life story might initially seem to you as sad, pointless and filled with destruction, even when you reach the realization that the great misfortunes and failures that you lived are not merely imposed upon you from without, but are largely the results of your own tragic faults, such a story can have a different character. You are the hero of that story, and you can become engaged with extraordinary virtue and skill in a noble quest. You will be defeated at times in this quest. The defeat is due in part to formidable external difficulties, but it stems above all from an internal flaw, a quality of character that is part of your heroic striving. In the tough moments of defeat, find the humility, friend, to realize that your flaw usually involves arrogance, ego inflation and destructiveness, and realize that nobility and defeat are part of the same coin. Understand that your story does not end in defeat and destruction. Never forget that defeat and destruction are the starting points for triumph and creation, and find the strength within you to flip that coin and confront your profound inner faults. Accept them as part of yourself and allow yourself to be humbled and transformed by the destructive forces that are part of your nature. Embrace the idea that destruction and creation are two parts of the same entity, and dare to venture on the adventure of transformation and creativity. I dare you to build a purpose to your life and leave a legacy behind that will enrich the lives of everyone. Are you bold enough to embrace destruction and creation? The choice is yours to make.